What's up, wrestling card collectors, sports card enthusiasts, and hobby nuts? You know who you are. Welcome to CollectAWrestlePalooza. You found a channel for you. This week I'm taking a divergence from my normal videos to talk about the most expensive item in my collection. And this is an item I've owned since I was a kid. I can't wait to tell you about it. I'll tell you some stories about how I got it, why I saved it, and we'll take a look at it. Have fun.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.
So here it is, the Time Warriors watch from my collection. This is an exclusive Generation 1 Transformers Time Warriors watch that was available only by mail away. It was not available in stores. So what is a Time Warrior? Time Warriors are watches. They're Autobots that were used by robots and humans to, well, track time on certain missions, particularly if the Autobots expected the Decepticons to return at a later date. The watch itself is beneath the Autobots logo, and the watch is functional. It can be worn by a human and displays time on a retro gray LCD screen that's beneath the logo here. It's very simple. There's a blue button on the Autobot's chin, which when you press it, it activates a spring and causes the face of the watch to flip open, revealing the time. And as far as I know, it's the only Time Warrior robot ever produced by the Transformers series, and it was made by Hasbro. So first, let's talk value. There aren't any comps on this watch. Occasionally they come up on eBay, but they are rarely complete and or in uncirculated condition, such as this one is. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But they are almost never graded, such as this one is. And this one has a respectable 80 from AFA, which stands for the Action Figure Authority. This one's handsomely encased in its archival plastic container, which is the highest quality encasing that the AFA offers, to protect it from UV light, and also it has a letter of authenticity from the AFA, which I'll open up right now. I like the display of the watch. The cardboard mailer is on the left, the watch is in the middle, and the uncirculated instruction booklet is on the right, the one that came with the watch itself. So this is what AFA sends. It's a grading report. It also has the letter of authenticity. Summary of flaws and other factors used to grade condition. It says both the toy and the plastic tray are in excellent shape with no significant defects or signs of wear. The watch retains its bright, vivid color with no dulling of the chrome and only minor scratch wear to the wristband, and I'm not sure how that happened because the watch was never worn. The white mailer box, though structurally sound, has numerous scuffs and stains, most evident on the lower middle section of the front box and back. The instruction booklet is in good condition with some light whitening along its edges. So again, if you look at this, I mean, that seems pretty picky. This is beautiful, immaculate shape. However, that is what the AFA found, and that's fine. Overall, the figure has the qualities of an average AFA 80 with some average and expected cosmetic defects of the mailer box being the predominant flaw. So they're saying the box itself is the predominant flaw, which makes sense because the watch was never worn. So the watch itself is in beautiful, beautiful condition, and the box has some minor defects on it, although to me the box looks spectacular and it's one of the best boxes I've ever seen, particularly the writing on it, which is very sharp and obviously hasn't been scuffed at all. Used watches, ones that don't have the box, the mail, or anything like that, I've seen sell for $500 to $1,000 on eBay, but I'm calling this one of those rare, one-of-a-kind items, which is why I'm saying it's valuable. I expect only a handful exist in this condition, complete. I'd put a value, I'm saying at least $2,000 as a baseline. To the right collector, I'm thinking even much higher than that because you just can't go out and buy one of these. I don't know the AFA pop count, but at the time when I had it graded, there was an outside source that told me it would be in the low single digits, and that's at the time I had it graded, which was a few years ago. And of course, because I went with the archival case and the shipping and insuring and all of that was a few $100s alone, so that adds to the value of the item as well. And what makes this item even rarer is the fact that it was a mail away only. It was from the sought after G1 series, which stands for Generation 1 in the Transformers line, and that's the gold standard of Transformers products, the G1, Generation 1, first ones that were out there. I'm going to talk a little more about the history of this particular item. As I stated, the Time Warrior watch was a mail away exclusive. Each Transformer product had a point on the cardboard backer that you could cut out and collect. If you gathered enough points and mailed away for the item, then you'd receive it. Time Warrior watch, in my opinion, is the most sought after of the G1 mail-aways, as it was the highest tier on the mail-away chart. The prize scale had a few different items one could collect, and I saw the watch as being not only the highest tier, but also the least desirable for a child. Why would you wait for, say, 10 points and get a watch when you can get a robot for 7 or 8 points? And also, the mail-away offer did not run forever, so some kids just didn't have enough time to gather the points for the high-tier watch. There are a few box variants. We know this one is a later box variant because it contains the word Bradley. I don't believe it's the last box variant, but since Hasbro purchased Milton Bradley in September of 1984, this watch is likely from 1985. Earlier versions of the box were from 1984 and arguably more desirable. There are at least 2 known boxes that precede this one from the US and one from the UK, and they just say Hasbro without saying Bradley. So how did I get mine? Well, I've had it since I was a kid. When I'd saved enough points for the watch, I mailed away for it, and by the time it arrived, I wasn't really into Transformers anymore, so I put it in the closet. I literally opened the box one time when I was a child, and that was just to make sure that there was a watch in it. And when I became an adult, my mom and dad gave me a box of everything from my childhood, and the watch was in there, so I had a decision to make. Should I leave it as is, try to sell it, or how should I display it if I want to keep it? I did research, decided I wanted to get the watch graded for safekeeping. The watch itself worked. It displayed time. I think because the battery, when you opened it up, did not immediately display the time. You had to push a button, if I remember correctly, so the watch would go to sleep when it wasn't in use. Spring action on mine works. You push the blue button, the face opens, and everything, as I stated, was super clean, including the box because the watch had never been worn. So the next decision I had to make is if I was going to leave the battery in the watch. That was a difficult decision, but I decided to remove the battery, which I have separately in an envelope. I didn't want the battery to corrode or leak over time, and the inside of the watch was so clean I didn't want to take that risk, particularly when it was encapsulated, so I made the decision to remove it. And I understand some purists would disagree with that decision, but that was my call, and I felt like it was the best call to make sure that this thing stays fresh into the future in its case. And removing the battery was very difficult, but not impossible. I used tiny eyeglass screwdriver to remove the back plate, exposed the battery, and popped it out. And I did it with the utmost care, almost like a surgeon. So here it is, safe and sound. Battery acid's not going to leak into the watch. It's safe, it's pristine, and it's one of the nicest items in my collection. I'm calling it the most valuable, but certainly for sentimental value, it's the most value, and I think also just because of the rarity of the item, that also makes it the most valuable item in my collection. What do you guys think? I'm never going to sell this item. The sentimental value alone is worth more than any price tag, but I am calling it my most valuable item for the reasons that I stated. I feel like this is really one of these once-in-a-lifetime type items. Thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate your support. If you know any history of this item or have any thoughts or critiques of what I'm displaying here, certainly feel free to leave a comment. I love seeing what you guys think, and it helps to fuel my videos into the future. Have a great week.
CollectAWrestlePalooza. CollectAWrestlePalooza.